In the world of Naruto, we've been introduced to a ton of incredible fights in the franchise, but the fights that happen in part 1 of Naruto hold a very special place in my heart, as well as in the hearts of millions of Naruto fans. The fights in part 1, they aren't as over the top as the ones that you see in the latter parts of Shippuden, where you see village destroying attacks, mountain range level attacks, continental Biju Damas being fired off. These fights were more grounded, or rather they're as grounded as one could expect from a series about ninjas who shoot fireballs from their mouths and summon giant snakes and toads as easily as you clicked on this YouTube video. That's why in today's Naruto video, we're going to be going over my personal top 10 best fights in Naruto Part 1. For this video, we're going to be using the fights that happen in the first 27 volumes of Naruto's manga. So random filler fights, they don't count for this video, and to clear up any confusion that might have been brought by the title and the thumbnail, when I say Part 1 Naruto fights, I don't just mean Naruto Uzumaki. I mean everyone who fought in Part 1 of Naruto is eligible. For those you guys wanting a Naruto Shippuden top 10 fight, if we can hit 3,000 likes within 1 week of uploading, I'll begin working on that video. And if we can hit 4,000 likes on this video, I'll publish the top 15 Boruto Naruto Next Generations fights in exactly 1 week after uploading this video. So starting things off with number 10, we're going to be going what I personally feel is the most underrated fight in Naruto Part 1, which is Neji versus Kidomaru. This fight, for me personally, was the first battle in the franchise where I literally felt like one of the characters from the Konoha 13 could actually die. None of the battles prior to this made me think that death might be an option for someone who is fighting, but this one put the fear of God in me as a reader, and as the years have gone by, the level of strategy that went into this battle never fails to blow me away every time I reread the fight. Right away when this fight pops off, you learn of the importance of having the advantage against the person that you're fighting. Neji, being a Hyuga and in possession of the Byakugan, made him the one person amongst the entire Sasuke retrieval arc squad that was perfectly suited to fight Kidomaru, because Neji's Byakugan allowed him to see chakra to such an extensive point that using the Gentle Fist, a chakra-based substance such as Kidomaru's webs, would be hard countered by Neji, who was able to find the exact spot on those spider webs to strike them down. And the whole concept of Neji being a hard counter is hammered home when we learned that Orochimaru specifically warned Kidomaru not to fight a Byakugan user and anyone that's a master of the Gentle Fist. However, that's where we start seeing more of the brilliance of Naruto Part 1, where the strategy element is given to us piece by piece as the fight's going on. We learned that Neji used the moment where he's captured as a chance to play a big mind game on Kidomaru by revealing that Kidomaru might know that Neji is his worst possible nightmare. But for everything that Orochimaru told him about the Byakugan, there was no amount of warning that could actually prepare him for the things that the Byakugan that he doesn't actually know, shown when Neji quickly shoots out chakra from every point in his body. Boasting Kidomaru is mistaken to think that only his fingertips can actually shoot out that chakra, before quickly going into the 64 palm strike that should have been the finishing blow, because Neji very brilliantly lulled his enemy into a false sense of security before using the trump card that should have checkmated Kidomaru. However, it's then that we learn that Neji isn't the only one who's keeping secrets either. Kidomaru reveals that he's able to produce a web fluid from his sweat glands that make the gold skin that served as protection for the 64 palm strike that would have shut down his chakra network. Another classic example of a ninja must see through deception, and it's in this moment that both combatants realize that they're in for a long fight and that both ninja have more tricks up their sleeves that could have to be accounted for as the fight drags on, and we see them adjusting their strategy in real time, with Kidomaru making it a point to begin shifting to a long range form of attack. But even when using kunai to distract Neji and trying to blindside him, Kidomaru realizes Neji isn't going to go down so easily, and we see Neji flex on Kidomaru by tossing the kunai back at him and letting him know that he doesn't just have to worry about Neji having eyes in the back of his head, but Neji can also see him regardless as to where he hides. We see Neji covering up the weakness of the Byakugan's blind spot by trying to get inside of Kidomaru's head, which is a brilliant use of strategy because Kidomaru had the right idea to try and attack from afar, since the Byakugan is most deadly up close and personal, but he initially misses how Neji went out of his way to try psyching him out. Between this and the way that Kidomaru goes into his curse mark state and combines the use of his summoning jutsu to try and slow down Neji's rotation, you see the battle beginning to shift, and it's as Neji begins his counteroffensive that the ever so perceptive Kidomaru notices a blind spot of the Byakugan, and we see something that is being shown to us well before Tsunade would explain in detail the significance during the flashback of Sakura's training during the Sakura versus Sorcery fight. In that flashback, Tsunade tells Sakura that a shinobi has to look for small identifiers that betray an an enemy ninja, and that as shinobi move up ranks, they learn to hide those identifiers, making it harder to spot over time, especially once they reach a Jonin level. What we're seeing here in this battle is Neji, someone who has the skill of a Chunin and the self-awareness of his own weaknesses, but KRYPTONIAN was skilled enough that he picked up on the weaknesses of Neji's Byakugan and exploited them. It's at this point that we see a cat and mouse game being played, with KRYPTONIAN hunting down from long range to exploit the small blind spot of the Byakugan, adjusting his attacks to fit into that very small window, and we see Neji, being the genius that he is, quickly adjusting his response, emitting chakra from his entire body so that he can sense when the arrow is beginning to reach his blind spot and move out the way at the last second. And it's then that we see one of the gutsiest decisions in Naruto Part 1. Neji allows himself to be hit by the attack so he can shoot his chakra through the web, then slice through the spear that actually impaled him, track down his enemy, and land the close quarters combat's attacks to shut down the chakra points that are needed to secure the victory, even if it means he potentially dies. This fight exemplifies the move hidden behind the move all the way down to a T, and it's an appropriate battle for Neji after he got that uppercut from hell from Naruto. This was Neji's redemption battle. At number 9, we're going to be going with Kakashi versus Zabuza. I think we all can agree that the moment where Kakashi got in his bag predicting the hand seals that Zabuza was using and finishing his jutsu before Zabuza was just flat out insane. This in-universe was our very first look at two Jonin caliber fighters duking it out. In truth, this fight had two characters going at it, displaying a level of skill that belonged more so in Naruto Part 2 than actually in Part 1, given how skilled and powerful both of these characters are. Usually in an intro arc, we see an enemy that is strong, but not a set of enemies who are so strong that when you jump ahead to the climax of Part 1, they're still strong enough that they can be relative to the enemies that we see, which in this case would be HAKU and Zabuza being strong enough that they actually clear the Sound Force Shinobi, who the Sasuke retrieval team was actually struggling with. In fact, we actually learned years after this fight that upon seeing everything Kakashi could do with the Sharingan, Masashi Kishimoto's first editor, Yahigi, actually suggested giving Kakashi a stamina problem in order to nerf him. While we did see Kakashi getting a stamina nerf, we still saw what a high-level Jonin combat actually looks like. Kakashi playing the mind games when he told Zabuza he could see into the future with the Sharingan and that Zabuza's future was death. Kakashi finishing his jutsu before Zabuza could do it because of the Sharingan powers of the Eye of Insight. Kakashi making up the lost ground that initially came from being captured in Zabuza's water prison jutsu, and Kakashi putting the fear of God in Zabuza early on, making it clear that Kakashi was in the bingo books of other nations for a reason. This fight is exactly how you hype up the mentor for the main cast, showing that Naruto and company had quite the journey before them, and given how crazy this fight was, it made you wonder just how strong the Hokage was. Even crazier, the outcome of this first battle served as the prelude for things that would come on later on in the franchise. Kakashi would take this battle and make it a teaching moment for Naruto to explain to him that for as impressive as this fight was, this will not be the first time Naruto sees someone like HAKU who is younger than Kakashi but stronger than him, with Kakashi even going so far as to say to Naruto if he's a ninja long enough, he will see children younger than 12-year-old Naruto who are stronger than elite shinobi like Kakashi. It was our first glimpse into the true potential of characters in the Naruto franchise. At number 8, we have another fight that just embodies the spirit of Naruto perfectly, which is SHIKAMARU versus TEMARI. Whereas the fight we just went over showed the power of two Jonin caliber fighters and produced one of the most iconic moments in the entire franchise, this battle doesn't have a landscape disrupting force that we saw in the manga when Kakashi's water dragon jutsu blew away the trees and left marks on the soil. This was a weaker shinobi in SHIKAMARU who had a brilliant mind going up against a much stronger shinobi in TEMARI whose intelligence was second only to SHIKAMARU at that time. We saw TEMARI overconfident and quickly breaking down the limits of SHIKAMARU's hidden jutsu, the shadow possession jutsu. We saw SHIKAMARU embrace those weaknesses while also studying his opponent, taking advantage of her impatience and her short temper by making it appear that he was not taking the fight seriously, all while hiding the fact that he was willingly allow her to actually see the weaknesses of the shadow possession jutsu, the range of the jutsu, in order to lull her into a false sense of security, showing that the guy who appeared to not take much of anything serious was actually extremely in tune with his surroundings, setting up several hidden moves behind other hidden moves. The way that Asuma's narration is used by Kishimoto in Naruto Volume 12 to explain SHIKAMARU having a genius IQ and usually having every move planned out before he makes it, right as we see SHIKAMARU using the cloud positioning and the wind created in the air naturally, as well as the wind created by TEMARI's jutsu to extend the range of his shadow possession jutsu in various ways. It's one of the best uses of strategy in the series. It showed that you don't have to have flashy jutsu or be a big brawler type like Naruto to secure a win. Sometimes a bit of patience and playing good old-fashioned mind games works more effectively, and it showed a concept from the 48 Laws of Power and the Art of War, which is that a true tactician plans all the way into the end. That way, when a surprise pops up due to already having planned to the end of the fight, whatever changes that do need to be made can actually be made. But what I love most about this fight is that it teaches the lesson of delayed gratification. Up until this point, victory had been presented to us as you just hit the enemy so hard, or you hit them with a jutsu strong enough that they can't get back up and keep fighting. In this scenario, we see that sometimes true victory comes from admitting defeat. Basically, another aspect of the 48 Laws of Power, which is to use the surrender tactic. Make your enemy think that they won, when in reality, you just hit pause on the battle with plans to restart the battle at a later date after you've had time to reassess your situation and gather your forces. The Chunin, Izumo, and Kotetsu both take a note of this, pointing out that had this been a real mission, Shikamaru would have led his team to a situation where they might have lost the battle, but they would still be alive. And if they were alive, that gave them a chance to win the war at a later date, the mark of a true leader. As the 48 Laws of Power and the Art of War drive home, sometimes winning a battle at the expense of losing your fighting force or losing all of your leverage isn't the best option. That's an ego win. You won for the sake of your pride to say that you won, but you cost yourself the war by not having the energy or manpower to close out the next battle waiting for you. This fight is one of the best in the franchise at driving home a life lesson that you don't have to be a shinobi to benefit from. At number 7, we have Sasuke and Naruto versus Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. This one is one of the few fights that we have on this list where even a stickler for the manga such as myself has to sit back and say the extra sequences added to the anime in this version of the fight really take the battle to another level, which is not something I'd say for a lot of fights in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, something I've been very vocal about for years now. You guys know I prefer the manga over the anime for 99.5% of the series. This battle is one that captures a feeling of hopelessness by having us start out with the ever so self-assured Sasuke having the fear of God placed into him when he first meets Orochimaru, to a point where the dude is vomiting and he has to stab himself with a kunai in order to begin moving, but it's not so he can fight, it's all because he's afraid. This was a moment that truly put Orochimaru over, because we see Sasuke so shaken up, and it's absolutely huge because this is a Sasuke who literally has just seen Zabuza and experienced the bloodlust of Zabuza and the strong fighting spirit of Kakashi, and was having a mental breakdown before Kakashi got him to settle down. But when Sasuke sees Orochimaru, that primal urge to run away from an apex predator, it takes over, and the stakes are raised here because it's the first real time that we know for certain Kakashi isn't coming to bail them out, because Kakashi's not allowed in the Forest of Death. This fight gives you Naruto in the most Naruto way battling against a giant snake summoning using the wacky methods that you come to expect from Naruto Uzumaki. You see Naruto showing a hint of the primal power of the Nine Tails when he comes in mocking Sasuke for being scared, stopping one of Orochimaru's summonings on his own, and getting Orochimaru's attention on the process, all of which caused Sasuke's balls to drop and begin to challenge Orochimaru, slapboxing with a suppressor Orochimaru with anime only sequences that show Sasuke's balls didn't just drop, but the guy was beginning to tap into that big D energy that you come to expect from someone wearing that Uchiha clan crest. While Sasuke doesn't win the battle, he does do enough in this fight to show the potential of his character, especially when we have Orochimaru being hyped up later on in this arc, where people around him are wishing that Minato was still alive. And in the Konoha Crush arc, we see that Orochimaru killed the 4th Kazekage and gets credit in universe for killing the 3rd Hokage by making him suicide himself. Even though Orochimaru was toying around with Sasuke, this battle lets you know that Sasuke was on his way to doing bigger and better things. At number 6, we're going to be going with Naruto and Sasuke versus HAKU. This battle is one that, from a narrative perspective, it just slaps. There's no other way to describe it. We see Naruto and Sasuke, two wet behind the ears gaining, fighting HAKU, someone confirmed to be stronger than Kakashi in battle, that should have ended with them dying had they been fighting anyone else with this level of power. But it's through this fight that we see that despite Zabuza training HAKU, HAKU doesn't have the heart of a killer. Despite HAKU having a Kekkei Genkai, HAKU refused to take the lives of his enemy. The way that Sasuke, who had been an open rival to Naruto, is consciously awakening his Sharingan out the desire to live and to protect Naruto from HAKU, and then have Kishimoto pull an Etra Oda and a Hiro Mashima from One Piece and Fairy Tail respectively, where he teases the death of Sasuke, making you think Sasuke's dead, letting you see the body leaking out blood in the battle battlefield in the manga, having Naruto hold Sasuke's unmoving body right before we see Naruto explode with chakra as he's raging out. Up until this point, Haku was just looking like a monster. You had Zabuza telling Kakashi, yeah, those kids are dead. You might as well make funeral arrangements for them. Haku was moving through those ice mirrors at blinding fast speeds, and he's firing off attacks so fast that they couldn't be reacted to in most cases. Yet when Naruto gets this power up, Naruto's moving so fast that Haku, who was previously looking like a demon, outright gets blitzed by Naruto, where Naruto literally intercepts Haku mid-speed blitz by snatching him by the wrist and pumping out so much chakra that is visible to the naked eye, which outright stuns Haku and has him state that he cannot withstand Naruto's chakra anymore. And we see Naruto deliver a brutal punch that knocks Haku out of the ice mirrors, and it's in this moment we see something truly beautiful. Naruto's about to deliver a finishing blow to Haku, but before he can do so, we see Naruto snap out of his funk, losing all the power that he got via that mental amp, and we see Kishimoto do two things. The first is show Naruto that being a ninja isn't like the fantasy he had in his head. The other shinobi who he's meeting on the battlefield, in a lot of circumstances, had Naruto met them in another lifetime or under different circumstances, Naruto could have been friends with them. Yet on the battlefield, there's only ninja versus ninja, ninja village versus ninja village, shinobi ideal versus shinobi ideal. In this world, emotions can get you killed, and Naruto had to learn that lesson right here by seeing Haku unmasked. Kishimoto in this moment also takes out more time to further humanize Haku, something that we would see continue as a staple of the Naruto franchise moving forward, and this method of writing is something that forever makes Naruto hold a special place in my heart, because unlike a lot of other battle shonen where the enemy is often evil for the sake of being evil, in Naruto there's almost always a story for the character, a butterfly effect, a moment where you realize had one or two acts of kindness been displayed to said character, their lives would have been drastically altered, which is why this fight gets so high up on my list for me personally, because narratively it has one of the strongest bits of writing. At number 5, we're going to be going with Naruto versus Neji, the battle of the talented genius versus the seemingly talentless doofus main character. This handling of Neji is what I like to refer to as the perfect way to build a bastard. We get the drama of the main branch and the side branch being set up. Neji had nuclear radiation levels of heat going into the battle with Naruto, especially when you learn Rock Lee was training with weights and mastering the inner gates, all because he needed all of that to take on Neji. This fight was an appropriate one for Naruto because this was the first time Naruto was on center stage with the chance to be acknowledged by everyone watching him as he battled against one of the odds-on favorites of the Chunin Exams tournament, and this first roadblock for Naruto saw him facing someone in Neji who was being built up to this high of a level. The themes of destiny and the question of can hard work overcome genetics, this strong clash of ideals, the taunting of Neji, the way that Neji is putting on a clinic against Naruto for a bulk of that fight. It was truly a moment where you see a beloved character being torn down right before your very eyes, right before said character is shown getting built back up. The way Naruto seemingly defies the odds by tapping into Kurama's chakra despite his own chakra points being flooded, giving the third Hokage goosebumps as he's seeing Naruto use a sliver of the power of the Nine Tails, and then proceeding to show that when it comes to strategy, Naruto isn't too bad at strategy himself by having Naruto deliver the uppercut that humbled Neji so badly that he got character development as a result of it. Thematically, this battle showcases what I believe is one of the hardest hitting themes of Naruto Part 1. At number 4, I'm going to be going with the legendary SANIN 3-way deadlock. This fight was absolutely nuts. We have multiple summoning animals being used at once. We got former teammates battling against each other in the arc right before these teammates are going to take on a member of Team 7 as their pupil. This battle serves as a way to show us a battle between multiple Kage level shinobi, what it will look like, while also showing what the future 5th Hokage looks like as she takes center stage during this fight. We previously seen Orochimaru cut loose against the 3rd Hokage, and during this time we saw Orochimaru with no arms due to the Reaper Death Seal being used on him by Hiruzen. However, it's the nerfing of Jiraiya that I don't see enough people talk about and how it was meant to showcase the future 5th Hokage, because Tsunade poisoning Jiraiya was a sign of what it means to be a ninja, in particular what it means to be a kunoichi. We learned in the Chunin exams from the flashback that Sakura had during that battle with Ino that kunoichi, while they do get battle training, there was a lot of emphasis placed on them from an early age to use their feminine charm to take advantage of situations that a male shinobi cannot. From the moment we learn about Tsunade from Jiraiya, we see this on full display. She's supposed to be this 50-year-old woman, yet she's walking around with the body of a 20-year-old and showing off a rather busty set better cleavage in the process. We learn that she's changing her appearance depending on which talent she goes to, and when she's sitting with Jiraiya, she uses just enough charm to get Jiraiya's lowest defenses, that she slips in a poison into his drink in order to mess up his flow of chakra, which also highlights her skill as a medical ninja, showing that she's more than just a healer type, but also has skills that can be used in different ways. Using this battle to set the stage to show different levels of what a female kunoichi can truly do in the series, in a series that up until this point has been very testosterone driven, it's a nice change of pace. But in this battle, we see that when Tsunade uses her creation rebirth jutsu, she's shown as a monster with more than just physical strength. We'd already seen her destroy sections of the battlefield and a chunk of the city with a chakra focused punch and a chakra focused kick, but when she's tapped into some of the chakra of the creation rebirth, we see her healing her own injuries. We see her picking up Gamabunta's sword and just swinging it around like it's nothing, body slamming Orochimaru like a rag doll, and all of this is coming after she gets over her fear of blood for the sake of protecting Naruto. This fight was an appropriate battle needed to show that kunoichi can be just as strong as shinobi even if they bring different things to the table, because outside of Temari, all the other kunoichi who we saw, they're just utter disappointments. At number 3, we're going to be going with Hiruzen versus Orochimaru. This battle is another setup for the reoccurring theme in the Naruto franchise, which is the battle of teacher versus student, which I absolutely love because it takes a classic shonen trope and it uses it well within the confines of the story being told in universe. The way that we start this battle with a hint of emotion being teased with Orochimaru before battling his former sensei started the process of us potentially seeing Orochimaru and being less of a villainous Orochimaru and actually being a human being. We get a very first glimpse as to what a battle between two Kage level shinobi actually looks like. We got chakra so dense that it's cracking the stone of the surface they're fighting on. We have 69-year-old Hiruzen showing what Ebisu was talking about when he trained Naruto, which is that high level shinobi with perfect chakra control can use multiple high level ninjutsu with the bare minimum of chakra and continue to amp up their other stats because they don't waste their chakra to perform jutsu. We see Hiruzen use more than one change in chakra nature in this battle. As it's raging on, we get to see an insane battle of nerfed Edo Tensei, Tobirama, and Hashirama versus Hiruzen. The way that Hiruzen is combining his battle style with the summoning animal is another fun aspect when you read this fight, and the way that we see the battle of teacher versus student take on multiple different layers is absolutely beautiful. We went from Hiruzen fighting his former student to Hiruzen fighting his former teachers, the first and the second Hokage, to Hiruzen having flashbacks to the night that he failed to kill Orochimaru and stop him from becoming the monster that he ended up becoming. And after Orochimaru admits that Hiruzen could have killed him if it would have been 10 years ago had Hiruzen not been 69 years old, we have a scene in the anime version of the fight that implies that Hiruzen actually could have killed Orochimaru despite being 69 years old. Allow me to explain. In the anime version, you see Hiruzen reveal that in his dying moments, the whole time he was fighting Orochimaru, he had a mental nerf because we saw Orochimaru as a young child in the mind of Hiruzen. At number 2, we have a fight that's likely going to be number 1 on a lot of people's list, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. This fight was number 1 on my list up until this year, which is Rock Lee versus Gaara. The moment where Rock Lee takes off those weights is the perfect blend of Kishimoto's penchant for wacky comedy being mixed into what is narratively set up as a pretty tense situation. Up until this point, we saw Gaara being built up like a monster. He's killing people like it's nothing, yet for the first time we see Gaara with a hint of fear as Rock Lee is zipping around the battlefield, getting faster and faster as time going on, adjusting to Gaara's attack patterns and the unpredictable nature of his ultimate defense. And we eventually see Rock Lee land that hit on Gaara, strike a pose to flex on him, and then proceed to ramp up the battle even further. This is highlighted even more so for how outrageous it is when Kakashi, someone who's seen all types of stuff with his Sharingan, is going, yeah, hold on, let me cut on my Sharingan to record these movements. Never know when I need to steal stuff and live up to my name, the copy ninja. And we see him transform into a splendid ninja that he is, where he's pushing Gaara to use deceptive tactics and even pushing out the bloodlust of Gaara because he's getting worked up in the fight the same way Haley Steinfeld and Liv Morgan make me go, yeah, damn girl. This fight is easily one of the most adrenaline pumping fights that we have in the franchise. One of the rare battles in the franchise where I say the anime did a a good job at capturing the true feeling of battle, with this battle in episode 48 showcasing new animation tools that weren't previously used in the Naruto franchise, and the trio of Norio Matsumo on key animation, the storyboard being done by Toshiyuki, and the animation supervision being done by Hirofumi Suzuki is just downright a masterclass in animation fluidity. And for that period in time, the decision to use the backgrounds in the way that they did and how they blended in with the fluidity of the 2D animation is just downright gorgeous. To this day, this fight is one of the best animated fights, despite it not having the overdose of compositing that you see with series like Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, Demon Slayer. You don't need heavy compositing when the animation is this fluid. Before we get to number 1, I just want to give an honorable mention to 3 fights that almost made this list. Kid Kakashi's battle after he got the Sharingan in Naruto Volume 27 due to the narrative build-up for it and the origin story behind why Kakashi got the Sharingan. Neji versus Hinata, which did a good job of making both characters look strong regardless as to who won or who lost. And Shino versus Kankuro, which is another severely underrated fight in the franchise itself. Now at number 1, we're going to be going with Naruto versus Sasuke at the Final Valley. And Jesus, this fight is one that I absolutely love. The figurative brothers, who we find out are chakra brothers due to being the reincarnation of Asura and Indra, they're battling each other, while Kishimoto uses their battle as the backdrop for explaining the downfall of the Uchiha clan and the story behind Itachi and Sasuke's relationship and how Sasuke goes through his flashback. And as this happens, his actions against Naruto get colder and colder. You got Naruto just screaming, chakra shockwaves that rip through Sasuke's fire release jutsu. We got Naruto making shadow clones, busting them through the water, making ladders of shadow clones, making chakra arms to snatch Sasuke. Sasuke using the power of the curse mark, Naruto using the power of the One Tail's cloak. We start this fight out the exact opposite of how their final battle started out, which I think is absolutely poetic. In their final battle in the manga, when they clash elbows, they just jump right into the strongest forms, and we see as the battle goes on, they just wear themselves down. This fight, on the other hand, sees the two of them fighting at their weakest form, and as the stakes and the narrative tension rise, they grow progressively stronger, and at the end of the fight, they're using their strongest attacks with their strongest forms at that point in time. We have Naruto in that beautiful moment where instead of following through with this attack, he scratches Sasuke's headband, paying off that line where Sasuke says, "You can't even scratch my headband." And you see Sasuke at the very last minute take his extended fingers meant for the Chidori assassination jab, and at the last second ball them up to prevent the killing blow on Naruto, because he made the decision to seek power on his own terms and not in the way that Itachi told him to. This battle felt you feeling like you absolutely lost something, because in shonen, this isn't what you expect. The main character isn't supposed to go out like this in such a heartbreaking way, but this moment became a turning point for the series itself. That's me it for my list for the top 10 best fights in Naruto Part 1.